Hello everybody. This video is mainly intended for Blackview support, but I've decided to make it public because there are other people who are looking into this phone and other people who also have already bought this phone and they may be having the same problem. So I'm hoping that if enough people contact Blackview who are having this problem, then maybe Blackview will understand what the problem is, why it's a problem, and why we want it fixed. So the main problem that I have with the radio app is when I go to add my own areas, it locks up. It locks up the radio to the point where you can no longer use the radio app. Now, I've gotten the update for January 16th, 2019, and that changed the behavior of this problem slightly, but it is still a problem. So if I go to device and I go to device area, we can see that we have 10 device areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I live in the United States. I am never expecting to see China, the European Union, Australia, Russia, Norway, or South Africa. So generally I would delete all of those, but just to prove a point, I'm going to make a new area and I'm going to call it test. In that new area, we see that it shows up, so we now have 11. In that new area, I will add test channel 1. We'll make it analog just for grins and giggles. For, you know what? 430 megahertz is right in the middle of the amateur radio band in the United States. I do not care about squelch level, but I will leave it at 0 because I'm going to show problem number 2 with that too. I don't want any kind of PL tones, CTCSS, CDCSS, none of that. I don't need any of it. Come on, we'll add test 2. It too will be analog. We will make it 435 megahertz. Again, right in the middle of the amateur radio band in the United States. And I'll make this one squelch level 1. Alright, so I'm going to back out. So we see test here. I'm going to go into test and I will say use test. I'll back out, I'll go into intercom. Now, we see that the squelch level is 0. This is actually problem 2. Which is basically if you have squelch 0 on the initial channel for an area, whether you're just going into the app for the first time or if you're going to a new area for the first time during that run, it acts like you've got all the squelch turned up all the way. So you basically don't ever hear anything. You can see we have squelch 0. I'm going to go up to channel 2 where we have squelch 1. Okay. I'm going to go back down to channel 1. We can hear. Alright. We can hear that the receiver is working. We know that, then therefore, we know that we can handle this many device areas. I will now exit the app. I'm done playing with my radio for today. I'll exit the app. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to contact somebody. Let me go back in there and... Now we're back to problem 1. Device init failed, please start again. I'm not going to waste y'all's time with this. It's not going to activate. The only thing that I can do that will bring that back is go into App Info, Storage, Clear Data. And of course, what this does is it wipes out all of the channels that I've had. Now when I go back into Intercom, it's white for a moment, then it comes back into the app. We get that icon up there that indicates that it will load, and we're in the channel. Oh, but wait. If I go into Device, and then Device Area, Test is gone, because I had to reset in order to get this back. So it would be nice if I could add an area. Wait a minute. What if the problem is that we have too many areas to begin with? Okay, so I should be able to delete a few. Like I said, I'm never going to be in China. I'm never going to be in the European Union. If I use FRS, I liked having the option of GMRS as well. Even though I'm not licensed for GMRS, if I have an emergency, I will use whatever's in my means to contact somebody. Alright, so we're just deleting all of these, right? Including the default. I don't need the default, because all the default is a bunch of 400, 401, 402, 403. I don't need all of those. They're not legal for me to use here anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete default as well. Okay, I now have USAFRS. Test 1. We will, actually I can't use it, I need to add Test 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a few channels and a few channel areas, and we will show that it will continue to work. I'm not going to waste your time, so I'm going to pause the video, and then you'll see how many test areas I get. Okay, so we now have 6 areas. We have the USA FRS GMRS, which is as the factory made it. I've not changed it. And we have tests 1 through 5. And you can see when I edit that you can see test 1. We have 430 megahertz for transmit and receive. And I did that for all of them. Some of them I did squelch 1, some of them I did squelch 0. But basically they're all the same. They're all 430 megahertz and they're all analog. And each one of these has only one channel. So I'm going to go ahead and just tell it to use test 4. Okay, great. Now, I should, here again, we're back on problem 2. I should be hearing that. We have squelch 0. And of course I can't. There. Now we get audio. I should not have to do that to get audio. But that's problem 2. But let's go back to problem 1. The fact that we've initialized all of this, that's fine. I'm going to exit app. App is exited. And, you know, just for grins and giggles, I'm going to go ahead and kill it too. And you know what? App info, I'm going to go force stop it. That app is not running now. We're going to go back into it. And I'm looking up here. We see the icon show up there. So we know that that's good. Okay, so we're in the app. The app is functioning, except that I should be able to hear that. Alright, now we're going to go to device area and we're going to add one more channel. It helps to hit, come on, there we go. No. I have a little bit of trouble because I'm looking at this from a phone screen and from an angle, so like my fingers are. Okay, this is test 6. Alright. We will edit test 6. We'll make it analog. squelch 1, I don't care. Alright, now we have test 6 channel 1. I'm going to tell it to use test 6. Okay, go back to intercom, squelch level 1. I don't care, I'm not going to be talking to anybody. We are obviously still in the app. Let me exit the app. Let me kill the app. I'll force stop the app. Go back into the app. I'm looking up here for the icon. I don't have an icon. It's not going to work. I already know that. So here's what we know. I started out with 10 channel areas. I now have 6. Actually 7. So it is not the number of channel areas that is the problem. Starting out, most of those channel areas had at least 4 channels, if not 6 channels. A couple of them had in the neighborhood of 20 channels. The Australian one has 40 channels. So it is not the number of channels causing the problem. Okay, so we know it's not the number of areas, it's not the number of channels. Now I cannot get into that app to edit anything. The only way that I'm going to be able to edit anything or get back into the app is to go in, storage, clear data, and then I'll be able to go back into it. So it's not the number of areas, it's not the number of channels. If I delete an area, actually, it's not even that. Let me show you another thing. If I add a channel, I'll call it test 17. We'll make it analog, 430 megahertz. Now, the kind people at Blackview kept telling me, make sure the send frequency and the receive frequency are the same. So I'm doing that here. But case in point, that's not the problem either. I'll go ahead and make this squelch 1. The simple fact is, if you're going to be using repeaters, especially in amateur radio, you're going to have differing send and receive frequencies. I'm not trying to talk to somebody on the same channel, I'm trying to talk to people on a repeater. Okay, so we have 17 here, we can use it. Okay, I'm going to exit. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, it's been a while since I've done this, but I'm pretty sure if I go right back into the app, it will still launch. Or will it? Now we see test 17 as a channel. Up, it'll launch. We've got the icon. Okay, great. So I can add a channel to an existing channel group. Or can I? Let's go down here to South Africa. We'll use it. And this channel here is weird. There's something in my area. So there's something in my area that is transmitting on that frequency. Maybe it's weather radar. I don't know. I could be wrong. But what we'll do is we will add a channel. We'll call it test 5. Again, 430 megahertz. Just because that's a frequency that I am legally allowed to use. We'll make it squelch 1. I don't need to hear anything on it. We'll go ahead and use it. We'll see that we can switch to it. Okay. We're here, right? Let me exit. I'll go in here, I'll kill the app. I'll go in here, I'll force stop the app. We'll go back in here, we will launch the app again. Let's see what we get. We're on test 5. Do we get an icon? Yes, we do. So it's working. Okay, great. So as long as I am using the existing channel groups, I mean, really, why do I have to be stuck with these? I don't live in South Africa. If I want to edit this, I'm not going to be editing South Africa. And there's no way to change the name. I can delete the group. Okay, let's do that. Actually, I need to use another one first, and then I can delete South Africa. It's Africal with an L on the end. I never understood that either. There's no L in Africa. Alright, so we'll call this test area. And it's not because there's spaces in the names. You got spaces in China, Taiwan FRS, you got space in China FRS, you got space in USA FRS, EU, so it's not the fact that there's a space in the name. I've seen some file systems where that can be a problem in computer science, but I don't know. We'll make this test channel. Okay. We'll make it analog. We'll make it, again, 430 megahertz. We will do squelch 1 and save. Okay, so it's the only thing in the area. It's the only channel there. We'll go ahead and use that area. Come over here to intercom. We see that I'm on that channel, test channel, squelch level 1. Okay, great. We will exit the app. Now, keep in mind, I deleted South Africa and then created a new channel area. We will kill. We will go in here, force stop. We will go back and launch it again. Test channel. We're looking for an icon up there. We get an icon. Okay, great. Let's try something else here. We'll add another channel just for grins and gigglies. And we'll use that channel. It inits, it goes to that channel. Okay, we're using channel 2. I can go back to channel 1, I can go up to channel 2. I'm going to exit. Go in here, kill the app, go in here, force stop. Okay, we'll go back down here, we'll go here, we'll go here. Let's see if we get an icon, let's see if it inits. We get an icon, it inits. Okay, so I guess as long as I don't mess with this too much. Okay, let me just for grins and giggles, what if I delete China? I don't know, I may have just accidentally discovered a workaround. I don't know, because this wasn't working for me before. This was locking up before. Let's go into the device area. We'll delete EU. We'll delete USA FRS. We'll delete everything except... No, I don't want to reset. Delete. Delete. We'll delete even... Well, you know, we're already using that one. We're even... You know what? Just for grins and... I've seen it in some applications. It's a stupid thing, but if you delete the default, it doesn't know what to do with itself. Let me add test 2 area. We'll edit test 2 area. We'll add a channel. Chan 1. 430 megahertz. 430 megahertz. We'll add another channel. We have 2 channels. We will use test 2 area. We will go into the intercom page. We see Chan 1, we see Chan 2. Okay, so this area is working. We're going to exit. I've deleted everything except the default. icon yet. So why is that? Why is it if I delete all of these other areas and then create an area, it locks it up? So this is what we get. What I really want to do is to get a hold of the configuration file that lets me set all of this. If I could get a hold of this file and then edit it on the file system, re-inject it into the application, which I think is how they do the Bofeng radios, is they have a file on the radio itself, and the programming interface changes that file. I think that's how they work. I'd like to have a chance of doing that with this. That's one of the things I think I'd, you know, from the programmer, hardware hacker mindset, that would be something interesting to play with. Unfortunately, that's part of the internals of the app. I'm sure I'm not allowed as an end user to have access to that, but it would be cool to see how it works. Anyway, as long as I keep all of this stuff in here that I'm not going to be using, I'm not going to keep this stuff. I should not have to keep all of these things in here in order to be able to make this app what I need it to be. I am a ham radio operator. I am not going to limit myself to just these frequencies. Okay? I have, excuse me, I have all of these frequencies that I can use, and this phone I bought so that I could make use of this band. I need to have a cell phone anyway. My job requires it. Why not go ahead and get one that can let me use my amateur radio privileges as well? That was my thinking. I really want to be able to use that band on this phone. It would also be cool if I could use this band on this phone. I think the hardware is physically capable. I think it's just a configuration file that is preventing it. And of course I would need a different antenna, but those are things I understand. What I don't understand is why I have to keep all of these crazy channel areas that I'm never going to use. If I create a new one, it locks up. If I delete all of these and then create a new one, it locks up. If I edit these, it's okay. Sure, why not? So that's the main problem. Adding my own areas locks up the radio app. I'm going to go ahead and upload this video for the edification of Blackview. Hopefully this helps in diagnosing the problem. Hopefully this helps in finding a resolution to this problem. This is very annoying to me because I will sit here and add, you know, before I finally realized what exactly was doing it, and even now I'm not entirely sure, but I would delete all of these except for the USA, FRS, GMRS, and then I would make 5 areas for myself. I would make one that would be for amateur radio use, one for just simply receive only, like if I wanted to hear the fire rescue department for my area, I can listen to them. I can listen to certain other services in the area, so I'll have them on a receive only channel grouping. I'll have another channel grouping just for listening to satellites, because that's a big thing with amateur radio. I might have another channel grouping for just playing around, just listening to different frequencies and listening for strange signals or whatever, or playing with an antenna, maybe do some amateur radio simplex work, any number of things. But I'll have these different areas set up, and then as soon as I add a couple of channels on that area number 6, that's when it fouls up. And this is after spending hours putting hundreds, well, not hundreds, but putting a lot, putting scores of frequencies in. I might have had, at one time, I think I had 70 channels on this thing programmed in, and each one manually done by hand. That's one of the reasons I would love to get a hold of the actual file, because if I can get a hold of the file, I can edit that in a spreadsheet on a computer, and I can type that in real quick, be done with it, and then import it into that app. But that's a feature request. That's not a bug issue. The bug issue is adding my own areas locks up the app. So I would like to get that resolved if I can. Those of you who agree with me, please leave a comment in the video. Let Blackview know. Contact Blackview through their support page, and they will ask you, hey, can you provide a video showing the problem? Provide them a link to this video. Feel free to use it, and maybe they'll see that there are plenty of people out there who have the same issue and really want to get it resolved. Of course, this is going to be more of an issue for those of you who are amateur radio operators, and I use this term loosely, shortwave listeners.